Oh, yeah. We're gonna fix that.
Oh, the light.
I gotta-
Should we pull the shades down?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Are you hearing me?
Yes, Tony, we can hear you crystal clear.
Thank you.
One more, the other one.
Yeah.
That's better. Oh. Makes me nervous.
Robin? Robin?
Thank you for coming. Meet you.
Uh, Is there any problems with a quorum?
I just heard from Joe Laco that he's not going to be joining us,
Great.
or at least he's going to try to join us, but not right on time and not necessarily within the hour. So I was curious, Robin, do you have any concerns
Oh,
about?
I can't hear.
Anna, we can't hear you.
Wait, maybe it's
Oh, wait,
us.
maybe it's us. Hold on.
I don't know what's going on.
Say something.
I'm not on mute.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
It was us.
We didn't have the volume on.
Joe Laco's not joining us. Are we concerned about quorum?
No, I think we have everybody else.
All right.
Okay.
I may have to,
Oh, that's Ann, is it? Yep.
I may have to leave a little bit early.
Okay. Thanks, Tony.
I don't think it'll take long. I'm trying to close a piece of property. Of course, I just got an email saying they're going to call me very shortly. So
Okay.
it always happens.
Hi, this is Ann.
Hi, Ann.
Hi, Ann.
Hi,
Can you
Ann.
hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I apologize for not being live in Zoomville today. My husband and I had competing Zoom calls, and his is all day long from 8:30 to like 5:30. So
Wow. It's a lot of Zoom.
I gave him the desktop use for the day.
That's a Zoom marathon.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It is indeed.
So, Anne, just after I spoke with you this morning, I got a call from Joel Laco. He won't be joining us, but Robin noted that we'll still have a quorum.
Okay. If we lose Tony, we'll still have a quorum.
Hey, thanks, Ann.
Right? I mean, with the Joe and Tony out, that still leaves a quorum.
Yep, we'll still be fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll move sprightly through so that Tony can go on to his other. We're just waiting on
Who's that?
Rat.
David Gascon, probably.
Who are we waiting for? Who were we waiting for?
I think Rat, just Rat. Jay. Oh, and Jay.
Nope. Can't make me.
Yeah, he was
Yeah. Ann? Has
Yeah.
the bridge construction bothered you much getting around town?
here in Rochester? Or are you
Yeah.
talking to Anna?
No, I'm talking to Ann.
To me?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
bridge over the canal, has it
Oh, the
bothered
bridge, yeah, it's a pain in the neck.
you?
It is, I guess, the long run benefit is worth the inconvenience, but
Yeah,
it's, you have to rethink where you're going and where you want to end up every time you leave the house,
Yeah.
and what route am I going to take to avoid
Mhm.
30 minutes?
are they widening the bridge?
I think they're just strengthening it, very similar to the bridge work they did on Mitchell Road a
Oh,
couple of years ago. But it'll be under construction for quite a long time.
wow.
So, which has increased the traffic on Mitchell Road, of course.
Oh, everybody's cutting through. Yeah,
They're finding a route.
yeah.
So, do we have everyone? It's a minute after.
Yes, you do.
So-
You're good to go, Ann.
Okay. Are we streaming?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I will call the meeting to order. And the first item of business is to approve our minutes from March 23rd. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, Ann.
Thank you, Tony. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any additions or corrections? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Kevin Loki, you're up to bat with a review of the local labor monitoring report.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
So I have our March 2021 monthly report. This covers our visits between March 1st and March 31st. During this period, we made 75 monthly site visits. We made 3 follow-up visits during this period. We checked with residency with 510 workers. Of those, there were 7 non-compliant. All of those were no proof of residence, spread over 3 different project sites. As of March 31st, 2021, all monitored sites were in compliance. We had 6 new COMIDA signs delivered. WF Elmridge LLC got 2 signs, IEC Electronics Incorporated, Plug Power Incorporated, and USRE Manitow LLC also received 2 signs.
Okay, great. Are you doing all of these 510 worker site reviews by yourself, or do you have a team of people helping you?
It's just me. We have other people in our office that are out in the field doing it. I'm actually on vacation this week, so our people from my office are on inspections as we speak.
I see. Well, that's good. I hope you're having a nice time.
Absolutely.
Any questions for Kevin?
Kevin, real quick question. The 7 workers that were did not have ID, when you went back, did all 7 of those have ID and they were local? They just didn't have them at the time of your initial visit, or did
That's correct.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You got it.
Any other questions for Kevin? Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Yep. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Brian LaFountain with our local labor exemption report. Brian?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I have 2 local labor exemptions to report on today that were processed in March. The first one is related to the USRE Manitow LLC project. That exemption was related to the structural steel at the project site. The exempted contractor is Cooper Steel LLC out of Nashville, Tennessee. Cooper Steel has estimated that they can provide 85% local labor individuals for this portion of the steel work. They were applying for an exemption for the remaining 15% of the workforce. We worked with Cooper Steel and some local union shops and non-union shops, and they have an agreement that they're going to reach out to these local laborers first should they need labor. from outside of the area, or they're going to exhaust those arenas first before they bring in anyone from outside of the area. So that was the first one, Cooper Steel. And the second one was related to the Howitt Paul Road LLC project. This exemption was the application or the installation of the gypcrete flooring product at the floors of that building on Paul Road in Chili. They wanted to use Henderson Johnson out of Syracuse, New York to do that. As we've heard before, reported here before, there are no contractors in the Rochester area that actually do this gypcrete work. So they're going to use Henderson Johnson out of Syracuse. Those are the two that I processed in March.
All right, thank you. Brian, any questions by the board?
Brian, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Troy.
Brian, can you share the number of Cooper Steel that we were talking about with the iron workers?
The number of individuals?
Yeah, what was that number, like over 100 we're going to be on site? Or
Yep, hold on, let me pull it up. All right, so they estimated the peak workforce would be about 110 people.
okay, thank you.
Sure.
Right. On that project, has that been processed, or are they still in, are they still reaching out to local labor to see if they can, find all the local labor they need? I was a little unclear.
Yeah, so Cooper Steel predicts that they can provide 85% of that 110 peak workforce of local labor already in their hands. But they're estimating that they would need the other 15%. They applied for a waiver for that other 15% in case they cannot get that full 110. And what we did is we reached out to some local folks here in the area, union folks and non-union folks. And we got an agreement from Cooper Steel that when they need folks, they're going to reach out to those individuals locally to see who's available. And if they can get local for 100%, they will. So they're going to exhaust the local areas and the local workers first before they bring in anybody from outside the area.
So did we give them a waiver for 15%, or is that contingent on them having gone through and, exhausting and saying that they can't? I guess my point is, if we already gave them a waiver for 15%, what is their incentive to try and get the 100%?
Well, we did give them a waiver because they did their due diligence to try to get as many people locally as they can.
Okay. And Troy, you agree we couldn't provide all 110 at peak?
So I did have a conversation with the local iron worker here. They do anticipate with the workload on other projects in the city that they are going to be needing travelers and out-of-towners to come man all of their projects. He does understand the commitment of the 100% local labor necessary on this job. So what he's going to do is move the travelers to outside of the other projects than this one. He is going to focus on getting this close to 100% as he can. We'll see how this goes. Obviously, the work's going to all drop at one time here, but Scott was comfortable understanding that this was going to be a challenge. 110 for his membership is that's a pretty big number on one site. But he promised that he was going to move people around to make sure we can get to that number. Yeah.
Thank you.
So any other questions for Brian? All right, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the financial report. Greg Genovese is going to give us the update for the month of March and year-to-date.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. So you can see our first 3 months of the year very strong. Quite a year difference makes. Our balance sheet remains strong. We're slowly building up our the cash that we had kind of given back in the years past. Obviously, a direct result from project revenue, but again, cash is approximately 7.8 million as of March. All of our other receivables and prepaids and payables really represent timing differences. There's nothing too different there, except there's a pilot payment in there in the accrued liability section, which is increasing that quite a bit. But everything else, in terms of the balances of balance sheet are strong. You can see the equities continuing to move back up where it was a year ago, and he's at the end of the year. Year to date, like I said, very strong. Even March was, last year at this time, I guess we were probably 2 weeks into COVID. I don't think that really affected our March financials much last year, but our fee revenue was basically double what it was compared to last March. So pretty strong March historically. You could see what it's doing to our year to date numbers. Through 3 months, our revenue is, quite a bit more than what we have budgeted, definitely more than what it was last year. And expenses are still remaining, according to budget. So probably, like I said before, in last quarter, probably the strongest 3 months we've had in recent history. And that doesn't include, but there's 2 significant projects that are closing in April, which could add another $600,000 of revenue to that number. So, like I said, I as down as last year may have been, these first 3-4 months have, with the team and what everyone's doing to close projects, and the momentum is just. Seems like it's just tremendous, moving in the right direction. I think April is going to show even better. So a great start to the first 3 months, and I think April is going to even look even better.
I think it's really quite remarkable. If you look at the year-to-date numbers for March 31, 20 versus March 31 of 21, significantly over budget, and we're under budget on our expenses, and the change in net assets is up substantially over the prior year. And like you say, there's more coming to close in April. So that's real. They are impressive numbers for sure. But we do appreciate your help, Greg. I often fail and to not thank you for all that you do to help us on the financial side of the business of the agency. So I appreciate that. Any questions for Greg?
Just a comment for the board, and I noticed that even with a modest month, last month, was still on a pace of about $1.6 million for the year, which is wonderful. So if we have a couple of great months, maybe we'll make up for what was lost last year.
Right. Very good point. Very impressive. Okay, any other questions for Greg? All right, thank you, Greg. So we will move on to our projects. And the first one is Skull Diamond and Heart Capital, LLC. And I believe Anna will walk us through it, and then we will hear from Robert Poltrino, who's the spokesperson for this project. Anna?
Thank you, Anne. Skull Diamond and Heart Capital LLC is proposing to renovate approximately 6,000 square feet of office space in the Sibley Square building in the city of Rochester. Skull Diamond and Heart is a private equity firm focused on strategic growth of early stage small businesses by funding operational support and services. The offices will be used by Skull Diamond and Heart and its startup portfolio companies. Skull Diamond and Heart believes that the project will encourage tech talent from local colleges and universities to stay and conduct business in Monroe County. This $675,000 project will create 11 FTEs. The applicant is seeking approval of sales tax exemptions only. The benefit to incentive ratio is 47-1.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Do we have Robert Poltrino with us?
We do indeed.
Okay. Would you like to elaborate on the project a little bit? Tell
Absolutely.
us more.
Absolutely. Thank you
you
so much for inviting us to this. We're very excited about it. At a former place of business, I've did a lot of we'll call it real estate in Rochester, and I decided to leave that job mid-pandemic last year. In doing so, I joined up with another individual and we started a private equity firm. We solidified that firm in September of last year. Truth be told, we had no real plans to open a brick and mortar. But with all the trajectory and projections and everything we're seeing and just the energy around Rochester, we decided that, this would be the best possible place for us to conduct business. That along with just the tech talent that was described before. There's a lot of folks at RIT, U of R, NAS, et cetera, that think the city of Rochester is their campus and they don't realize all the growth that is really here. So that's why we've identified this project as being important for us, because we want to keep that business here. We want to grow it, and realistically, we honestly believe that this is the best quality of life that they're going to get in the region, especially compared to San Francisco and others. So the sales tax abatement here will really help us put the systems in place that we need for day-to-day business. Most notably, we have actually expanded what we're doing, or we're doing a little bit more, like 6,700 square feet now, so that we can do a colo data center, which is really only going to be 4 racks, but it allows these portfolio companies to be able to have systems and services at their disposal without paying large fees to AWS or Azure or anything like that. So we're very excited about getting this off the ground.
Okay, great. The benefit incentive ratio on this is, as Anna mentioned, it's 47-1. That's very, very impressive. So questions from the board for Mr. Poltrino?
This is Jay Popley. This is, in my opinion, one of the more exciting projects I've seen in quite some time. Do you guys have do you have companies already in your portfolio? And can you talk to me a little bit about, are you planning to be the lead in terms of private equity? Just private equity is a very nebulous term.
Yeah,
so
it's very broad. Yeah, it's like saying IT.
Yep. If you can elaborate a little bit more on what it is and what your business model is.
Sure.
I'm interested to learn about that. And are you working with Nextcore or any of their companies right now?
Lot to unpack there. I'll start with the last one.
I realize that.
The answer is yes and no.
Okay.
I know Jim Sinal and his team. I've toured his facility. I would like to say we're not a competitor of his. We're complementary. We're looking at companies pre-Nextcore as well as companies that are going to grow beyond Nextcore. So we're really pre-seed to, probably Series A funding. From the private equity side of things, and we do have one company right now that we funded that is a company at Nextcore. So, we work closely together in terms of, if it's good for them, it's good for us. We don't necessarily conduct business together, but it's very complementary and it will be over time. In terms of private equity, we are solely funded by one owner. This is not a fund. We will have probably a technology fund in the next couple of years. When we talk about the FTE hires, really we're focusing on IT analytics, and we will do fund management. But into the future, that will be, time will tell.
So let me interrupt you. So right here, you're looking at providing basically services similar to AWS for these portfolio companies, as opposed to managing a portfolio of companies themselves, where you're taking equity investments and getting involved on, from a consulting and a management. Is my understanding correct?
It's
Okay,
both. So anybody who's going to receive services from us, it's not just IT. So on the IT side, it could be managed service, it could be remote hands, it could be network engineering. That's a whole animal in and of itself. But there's also legal, HR, marketing, et cetera. It's the foundational support. I like to equate it to, when everybody asks you, like, as a startup, what's the biggest mistake you see people commonly making? And you say, well, there's a lot. That's a loaded question. But really what it is somebody puts a Band-Aid on something saying, I'm going to come back to this later. We provide them the tools to say, well, take care of it now. You have people that can do that and focus on your product and growing your company in a responsible manner. So to be able to offer those services, we do require there to be some sort of equity financing deal in place outside of that. So you would have an equity financing contract where we would actually give them capital to use for whatever purposes they need. And then we'd have a services convertible note, which is essentially a line of credit with our providers that we hold an MSA with. So, and that's, over a term, it's very, very simple in terms of what they use, when they use it. It's up to them. We don't, we give them a line of credit. If they use it, great. If they don't, we don't penalize them.
are you at liberty to say what the size of the fund is and the capital you guys are ready to deploy over the next few years?
Average check size is one of those questions that I always shy away from, because the right deal allows us to bring in other partners or other people within our investment network. So while that's not co-investing itself, I would say our average check size in terms of what we're looking to deploy on a deal-to-deal basis is probably upwards of $250,000 per. Keeping in mind that we're dealing with early stage companies, there is such a thing as giving too much money because it can overwhelm people. But we do have a significant base to pull from through our network.
Are there other questions from the board? Okay, let's see. We did not need a public hearing on this. Robert, I'll ask you, are you aware of our local labor policy?
I am indeed.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
I do not.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
I do.
Okay, great. The seeker process is complete. And Anna, do you want to read the resolution for us?
Sure. A regular meeting of the County of Monroe Industrial Development Agency.
I move to waive the reading of this resolution and subsequent resolutions.
Thank you. There's a motion by Jay. Is there a second?
Tony seconds it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments, questions on that? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
One of these days,
So
I'm
now-
going to go get a cup of coffee and let you read the whole thing.
Since we all have copies of those resolutions, might need to allow an extra few hours for just that. So now I'll ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a sales tax exemption. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you,
Second.
Tony.
Brett.
Is there a second? Rhett, thank you. Any additions, corrections to that motion? All right, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Troy,
Yay.
Joe is, I think we said absent today. Rhett
Yay.
and Ann is a yay, so motion carries. So congratulations.
Thank you very
Robert,
much.
Best of
thanks
luck,
for
Rob.
bringing the project to us. Yes, we do wish you all the best.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy that new cafeteria over there.
Will do. That was part of the attraction strategy. Wind Development is doing wonderful things, and they really did a lot to convince us to be here. It was a tough competition, but they pulled it out. So a big thanks to them as well.
Where else were you considering?
100% remote. I'm a Boston transplant, so potentially Boston, Austin, Ohio, Miami, and Atlanta.
Glad you decided to stay in the rock.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. All right. The next project up for discussion is Gascon Family Vineyards LLC. And after Anna reviews the project with us, so I believe we have David Gascon with us today to elaborate further on the project. So Anna?
Thank you. Gascon Family Vineyards LLC is a new winery located in Honey Eye Falls. After planting in 2019, they are now preparing for their first harvest in 2021. They will be building a new production facility, which will include a tasting room for customers to taste and purchase product. The tasting room will account for 21% of the building expenses, with the remaining 79% for processing and production. The applicant is seeking a real property tax abatement as well as sales tax and mortgage recording tax exemption. The $831,350 project is projected to create 6 FTEs over 3 years. The cost to benefit ratio is 54-1.
Okay, thank you. David, tell us more.
Sure, yeah. So my wife and I started this project back in 2018. We purchased a piece of property across from Mendon Golf Club, and we started with our vineyard operation down there. It takes about 3 years to get fruit from your grapevines. So we've been working there, getting that up and running and established. This will be our 3rd growing season and our 1st year for harvest. So what we're looking to do is build a production facility down there where we can take the grapes from our vineyard and turn them into wine. The building itself is going to be 4,200 square feet. The majority of the space is going to be used for production and warehousing. And there is a portion that will be segmented off for people to do on-site tastings at the facility.
How many acres are involved?
For the building itself or the entire parcel or the vineyard?
The entire parcel for, all the
The entire parcel is 72 acres. We have 5.5 acres that are planted. And then there's about 3 acres up by the road that are used for our production facility, our agricultural building, and there's additional vines planted there as well.
Are there other vineyards nearby? I mean, why did you select this particular area?
Sure. So we wanted to be someplace close to the Rochester area. Our business model has people coming to enjoy wine more by the glass, kind of similar to either a brewery or a wine tasting bar, opposed to, the Finger Lakes model where people come in and they're tasting and then moving on to the next winery and so on and so forth. So we looked for a piece of property that was closer to the greater Rochester area. So we explored places in Webster, Victor, Honeyway Falls, Mendon, Pittsford, Henrietta, places that were within about a 15-20 minute drive at most from the city center.
And are there other vineyards nearby?
The closest vineyard to us would be Casa Larga, which is out in Fairport.
I see. So how did you know the soil was good enough for?
Yeah, so for the soil, before we purchased the property, we took soil samples across it, submitted them to Cornell, and they did a soil sample analysis on it. They told us what type of soil we had, how it would be conducive to growing grapes, what additions to it or adjustments we should make prior to planting. And then there was a lot of factors that we looked at when purchasing the property. So the slope of the land faces south, so we get a lot of sun, direct sun. It's a gradual slope, which is nice for water drainage, air drainage. It's also good for working the property as well. There were some parts that Cornell recommended us doing. So the year before we planted, we grew a cover crop called sorghum, which has a high biomass that we tilled back into the soil, and we put our agricultural lime down as well. So we started under a nice base when we planted our vines.
A lot of good due diligence there, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. So my partner and I both went to school for viticulture, which is the study of growing grapes, and enology, which is winemaking. So we have a background in it, and we've been doing it. So we kind of knew what we were looking for.
That's terrific. Very impressive. So there was a public hearing on this project on April 15th, and I know the town of Mendon submitted comments about your project. You want to elaborate a little bit on some of your responses to some of the issues that they raised?
Yeah, sure. So I guess in terms of what they raised, I'm not sure if they understand the business model that comes with starting a winery and getting into production and kind of the timeline that it takes to do it. So I reached out to them to try and have a conversation, but I haven't been able to get in touch with them or hear back from them. So from our standpoint, as I mentioned previously, we've been working for 3 years. We put a lot of capital into the vineyard itself. It takes 3 years to get a crop. It actually takes 5 to 6 years to get a full crop from your vineyard. The vines grow and produce fruit, but they don't produce at their max capacity until that 5th and 6th year. In terms of winemaking itself, a lot of the products we produce, some of the white wines will be available for sale within that 6 to 8 month time frame. But a lot of the sparkling red wine, stuff like that needs to get aged. That goes into barrels. For sparkling, it goes through 2 rounds of fermentation. So that's not quite ready for sale for at least 16 to 18 months. Sparkling can be up to 3 years. So the standard practice is to work with outside producer or another winery to have them help make your wine to kind of reduce the cost that you incur from a capital standpoint. What we're trying to do is bring that sooner. So by working with you guys to help with the finance portion of it, we're going to bring the production facility to the town of Mendon and to the area and start actually doing our production there starting this year, opposed to outsourcing it down to the Finger Lakes, which is what we would probably have to do without some of the financial benefits. I'm not sure if they have an understanding of that and that capital that's needed that goes into this process. So I was kind of shocked and surprised when they submitted those comments.
Dave, this is Troy. So you said 72 acres. Is the goal to utilize all 72? And what's the time frame of making that happen? Or could you elaborate a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah. So when we started this project, we were looking for that 25 to 30 acres, which is what we planned on using. The site itself has, I believe it's 13 acres in the far back. That's a wetland protected area that we won't be using. We fenced in with a deer fence 18 acres, and that's what we plan on growing and producing vines from. About 3 acres is used for, like I said, buildings and things like that. And then the remaining portion right now is being leased out to a local farmer who does soybean, wheat, and corn production.
Thank you.
David, how much of your wine, you had mentioned that your model is to serve wine by the glass as opposed to, to produce it and bottle it for sale. Can you just tell me what percentage, that you're looking at saying, hey, is actually going to be, we're going to be on premise serving as opposed to bottling and selling more like a traditional vineyard, I guess.
I have the exact numbers in our business plan spreadsheet. I believe it's somewhere around 37 to 42% of our sales we anticipate from the tap room itself.
So is this, I guess one question I would have is this more like a restaurant and on service? Not that you're serving food.
Sure.
But it's more of an on-premise as opposed to a production facility. When you're talking about that high a number, it it seems like I mean, that's certainly, your business model is what it is. I'm just trying to understand that a little bit better.
Yeah, so that number I provided you is our on-premise sales. Part of that is going to be people coming in and tasting by the glass, and then some of it will be bottle sales that they bring with them. So not all that revenue is going to be generated by the glass purchases. This building itself is the majority of the space is going to be used for processing. Like I said, I think it's around 80%, 78% is warehousing, the processing facility itself, a crush pad. The property is large, so we have a lot of outdoor space. So we anticipate doing more of our sales during the summer months, spring and fall, and having people, outside and enjoying the space that we have available.
So let me ask the question a different way. Volume wise, how much do you expect is going to be served by the glass versus bottles?
Sure. So our case production is 3,500 cases. If you give me 1 minute, I will pull it up on my computer here instead of guessing for you guys or going into my recollection.
And I don't need a precise, are you looking at 75? The reason I'm asking, David, is we typically don't do restaurants and
Sure.
And those type of facilities. And I'm trying to, when you tell me 40%,
Yeah.
I start to think of you as a restaurant, not a vineyard or a production facility.
Sure. Yeah, if you look at direct to consumer sales business models for wineries, that's kind of in keeping with all of their plans. That 42%, 35% from the tasting room, that's what you see across the Finger Lakes. We anticipate more of our sales coming from people who will be tasting and purchasing in our facility just because it's closer and easy to get to. But it's not going to be much different in terms of total volume than what you would typically see in a Finger Lakes winery.
And then the 3 acres you're reserving for buildings, can you talk to me about, is there a longer term vision for those 3 acres and the buildings you're going to put up?
Yeah, so the 3 acres itself isn't going to be put with all buildings. That's just the space that we have set aside in terms of putting roads in, parking. We have a pole barn that's constructed currently that houses all our machinery and equipment for the farm. And then we have the production facility as well. Our long-term plan and site plan that we have approved by the town of Mendon has a separate tasting room that's going to be built in the future once we have the capital to do so. And this production building that we're putting together now, we're going to recapture that space and use that for our production.
Thank you.
So your application says that in terms of expenses, the tasting room will account for 21% of the building expenses, with the remaining 79% for production and processing. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, are there other questions from the board? Or let me ask Rachel, were there any other comments at the public hearing?
No, just the letter from the town of Mendon, but no other public participation.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? All right. I'll ask you, Dave, some local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, I am.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
What do you mean by local labor exemptions? You mean getting people that are outside the local area?
Exactly.
No, we do not.
Okay. And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The secret process is complete. We have waived the reading of the resolutions for these projects because we've all read them. And so I am going to ask for a motion then for inducement and final resolution approving.
I'll make a motion then.
Okay, let me just finish reading the motion. A motion for inducement and final resolution approving the real property tax abatement, the mortgage recording tax, and the sales tax exemptions. So Tony has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Lisa's a second. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Troy,
Yay.
and Joe is absent. Rhett
Yay.
and Ann is a yay. So motion carries. So congratulations. Good luck. We'll be right out as soon as your tasting room is open and available.
Thank you. We'd be happy to have you guys.
Well, we're happy to have you here. So
Thank you.
Cheers.
good luck to you.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Okay, next project is the 275 Wiregrass Parkway. And we have Eric Jones with us and Bruce Stratton, I believe. And I'll ask Anna to walk us through the project, and then we'll have the representatives provide additional comments.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Ann.
Next project. That's number
275 Wiregrass Parkway. And we have Eric Jones with us and Bruce Stratton, I believe. And I'll ask Anna to walk us through the project, and then we'll have the representatives provide additional comments. Thank you, Ann. And I think we're getting some feedback. I don't know if somebody has the YouTube stream on in the background, but just a reminder to turn that off. Okay, thank you. 275 Wiregrass Parkway LLC, a real estate holding company, is constructing a new 101,000 square foot facility on 10 plus or minus acres in Henrietta for its tenant, Premier Packaging Corporation. Premier Packaging Corporation is a key supplier of paper board packaging to some of the country's largest digital photo finishing, food packaging, and medical device companies. Premier Packaging also markets and manufactures packaging and printing that utilizes security features, including patented security technologies to protect valuable information from unauthorized scanning, copying, and digital imaging. The $8.7 million project is expected to create 20 new FTEs in 3 years. The applicant is seeking a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemption. The cost to benefit ratio is 20-1.
Thank you. And this project has been supported by the town of Henrietta. All right, we have Eric Jones and Bruce Stratton with us. Would you like to elaborate further?
Good afternoon. This is Eric Jones. We're pleased to bring this project in front of the board, and thank you for your consideration. It's another exciting project that we have for the Wiregrass Parkway development in Henrietta. This facility be 101,000 state-of-the-art, 101,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility, warehouse, production, office facility for Premier Packaging. I've got Bruce Stratton on with us, and I think he can explain a little bit more about what Premier does and how this facility will aid in their operations and their employment in the local area.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, this project is very exciting to us. We've been in business just over 30 years, and our primary business is single board packaging. So with that, we have a lion's share of the market for photo packaging. So when you go to Walgreens or Shutterfly to get your pictures developed, they would go into our packages that you would take home. We do a lot locally with a lot of the local breweries for beverage packaging. We do food, we do medical. And basically the process is we take single board in, we print it, we die cut and fold packages that you would get across the marketplace. So for us, we've been in the Victor location since inception, since the late 80s. We are growing. We are looking to really expand our business. We have some good national contracts. And with that, we need more space. So this building will be roughly 2.5 times bigger than the space we're in today. So it's very exciting for us to be able to build a manufacturing facility that's state of the art, gives us the efficient workflow we're looking for, and to be able to continue to grow the business as we have been up to this point.
Okay, thank you. Do we have questions from the board on this? All right, Rachel, we had a public hearing on this project April 15. Any comments from that meeting?
A representative from the town of Henrietta participated and asked about the timing of construction, and that was all.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, I will ask you some local labor questions. Not sure Eric or Bruce, I guess it would be Eric probably answering this. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
We are.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
We do not.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
We are.
Okay, thank you. The seeker process is complete. We are waiving the reading of the resolution. I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. May I have a motion, please?
So moved, Jay.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Yeah.
Tony, thank you. Any additional comments, questions on the motion? Hearing none, I'll take that. I'm sorry?
Just to reflect back onto Rachel, so when was the plan for construction?
We're going to get started right away. We're looking to complete this sometime in the fourth quarter this year.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. It sounds like we're getting feedback again, Anna. I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yay.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe is absent. Rhett? Rhett?
Yay.
Thank you. And Ann is a yay, so motion carries. Congratulations, and good luck with continued success with Premier Packaging.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, the next project is 10 Winthrop Street LLC. And Dennis Wilmot will be joining us, I believe. Anna, do you want to walk us through the project, and then we'll have Dennis elaborate a little bit on this?
Certainly, and thank you, Ann. 10 Winthrop Street LLC, a real estate holding company, is purchasing and renovating the building at 10 Winthrop Street in the city of Rochester. The anchor tenant in the building closed several years ago, and that portion of the building has remained vacant. The applicant is requesting a custom property tax abatement, which is supported by the city of Rochester. RDG Plus Partners, CPAs, PLLC, is proposing to occupy vacant space. RDG plans to relocate 50 FTEs and create 8 new FTEs. RDG is seeking a sales tax exemption on construction materials and furniture, fixtures, and equipment. The applicant is seeking a custom real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemption. The cost benefit ratio is 179-1, and also notably not in the project description is just the fact that this is the former Hart's Local Grocers building, which has been largely vacant for some time, as noted.
Okay, thank you. Dennis Wilmot, are you on the line with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, tell us a little bit more.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just to take a step back, I am co-owner of Red Restaurant, which is actually located across the parking lot from the said parcel. When my business partner and I elected to open a restaurant, the East End was a very attractive part of the community in the city. There's a lot of positive momentum in the area. I think the Interloop redevelopment so far has been a tremendous success. And as a business owner in the area, I certainly want to see more office and residential grow around our restaurant. And soon after we opened Red, the Harts Market did close, which occupied the entire first floor of 10 Winthrop Street, and has since remained vacant. I will say, it creates certainly not only from the services that it provided the local community, but the loss of the visitors, the activity, having that space vacant has, I think, adversely impacted everybody that is around there. So, I certainly have a vested interest and have had a vested interest in seeing this building re-tenanted. And fortunately, I'm a member of the applicant who has an option to purchase the property contingent on the award of the pilot and the execution of a lease with RDG Partners, which is the tenant that has interest in relocating 50 full-time jobs from the village of Pittsford down to the city of Rochester in the East End. I can't emphasize enough the positivity of having those jobs down in the area, the activity, the benefits to certainly my business Red, but other vendors in the area having those additional workers down there. The tenant RDG is an up and coming firm. Similar to Bonadio, they offer a full suite of services in addition to accounting services. They are rapidly growing. They are known as a very innovative company in that segment. And one of the reasons that they were attracted to this opportunity is to accommodate future growth as the company adds jobs. As noted in the application, they anticipate a 10 to 15% job growth in the first 3 to 5 years. My expectation will be to far outstrip that based on their current business activity. But the building itself is somewhat neglected with the purchase of this property, as we hope by June, with RDG moving into the space by December of this year. We will also undergo exterior common area improvements. The space has not been very well maintained, in part due to the financial distress of having it 42% occupied. The exterior will change dramatically as both RDG does their improvements, and we will improve the common areas and the exterior facade as well. So we're very excited about the opportunity. The city has been very supportive in the process, and we hope the county will as well.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Do we have questions from our board? All right, Rachel, there was a public hearing on April 15th. Were any issues raised at the public hearing?
There were no public comments.
But darn back again.
Does anybody that's on the line have us on speakerphone, or looks like, well, we'll just take it as it comes.
Okay. So there was a public hearing held on April 15th. Rachel, were any comments at that public hearing?
No, there were not.
All right, Dennis, I'll ask you a few questions about local labor. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay, great. The seeker process is complete. We have waived the reading of the resolution. And I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a custom real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. Is there a motion, please?
Royal motion.
Thank you, Troy. Is there a
I'll
second? I'm sorry, is there a second?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Any additional comments? All right, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay? Jay?
Yes.
Thank you. Tony?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe's absent. Rhett?
Yes.
And Ann is a yes, so motion carries. Good luck to you, Dennis. I'm sure it'll make a huge difference
Yes.
to that part of the area that has been underutilized for several years. We wish you success with it.
Thank you for the support.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. The next project is 39 Jetview Drive LLC. And we'll have representatives to answer questions on that, Jonathan Sidor and Matt Sidor. So, Anna?
Thank you, Ann. 39 Jetview Drive LLC, a real estate holding company, is constructing a 52,500 square foot building for its tenant, Sidor Optics. Sidor Optics is a 57-year-old manufacturer of precision optical substrates, which are used in many different industries, including aerospace, military, life sciences, semiconductors, entertainment, telecommunications, and high-power laser labs. Sidor Optics is increasing manufacturing at its current location and needs to relocate its 5,000 square foot warehouse to 39 Jetview Drive. Sidor anticipates creating 8 new jobs in addition to its current 82 FTEs in this two-phased project. Total project costs are $3.1 million. This first phase of the project is $2.3 million and is seeking a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemption. The cost to benefit ratio is 12-1.
Okay, so we're going to be approving the phase one, the 2.3 million. Is that correct? Or are we approving the total project of 3.1 million?
Robin or Rachel, you can clarify, but it's my understanding that the pilot is for total project costs with sales tax on phase one. Help me understand, Rachel or Robin, to answer this question.
So the full project is the $3 million, full construction of the building, and the pilot will go on the entire building, but the board is being asked to approve the first phase. As Anna points out, the sales and mortgage tax exemptions related to the first phase of the project.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. So we have Jonathan Sidor and Matt Sidor. Would you like to elaborate further? Hello. Tell us more.
So, like Anna said, we currently have our business located at 31 Jetview Drive, and we had a back warehouse where we kind of stored all of our stuff. And our current production is increasing, and we had to assume that part of our building for more production space. And we've owned the lot next door for 7-8 years now. And we just felt like it was time that we start expanding and that we start to grow. This was a little bit of a project that we've been talking about for a while. We were looking at doing smaller buildings, 4 smaller segments, and renting them out as individuals. But what we kind of decided in the end is to go with 52,000 square feet And in the beginning, we're only going to finish off 5,000 square feet of warehouse space for us, which gives us the flexibility. Doesn't matter what kind of tenant we pick moving forward, we can put in the infrastructure and whatever needs that they have.
Do you have any ideas on the tenants that you would be, I guess, utilizing the space until it's needed for side door?
This is, I'll go, Johnny. This is Matthew. So we've had probably 3 or 4 optics and photonics companies contact us throughout these last couple of years looking for spots in Rochester. We also own the building on 29 Jetview Drive that we have a tenant, and the lease was coming up, and advertised this. And a company came from California. They were Optics and Photonics. They ended up going to Henrietta on John Street instead of choosing Chilai. Another company from Japan was thinking about coming to Rochester. They ended up going to New Jersey. So we're zoned for light industrial. We do have a tenant here in Rochester who's does work with solar cell covers, and they would be utilizing maybe 10,000 square feet as well, doing for clean room space and light manufacturing. So definitely the people that we're kind of connected with are more in the high tech sector than, you know, a commercial or, you know, marketplace type sector.
Okay, thank you. Do we have questions from the board on this? Okay, you provided so much good information that we had all of our questions answered. I'll ask you a few labor questions if I might. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, we are.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No, we do not.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. The CP process is complete. There was a public hearing on April 15th, Rachel. Any issues brought up on that?
No, there were no public comments.
Okay, thank you. We will waive the reading of the resolution, and I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. Is there a motion?
Go on, motion.
Thank you, Troy. Is there a second? Thank you, Rhett. Any additional comments, questions on the motion? All right, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe's absent. Rhett?
Yay.
Thank you. And Anne is a yay. Motion carries. So congratulations. And,
Great.
Thank you very much, everybody.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks, John and Matt.
See ya.
Thank you. Okay. Our next project is 30 West Broad Street, LLC. Joel Barrett is the representative who can answer all of our questions. And let's first have Anna walk us through the project.
Thank you, Anne. 30 West Broad Street served as Rochester's City Hall for over a century and is included on the National Historic Register. The building is 45% vacant. The building will be converted from the existing commercial office to a mixed-use structure with 30 market rate and affordable apartments, preserving and relocating existing tenants within the building. The conversion plan will also create an opportunity zone incubator for small businesses. This project anticipates to create 7 FTEs in addition to the 100 FTEs currently in the building. The $10.6 million project is seeking sales tax and mortgage recording tax exemptions. The project will be utilizing the Q program through the city of Rochester. The cost to benefit ratio is 16-1.
Okay, thank you. Joel Barrett, would you care to elaborate? Tell us more.
Yeah, we acquired the building close in 2019. It's a local investment fund. It's for Opportunity Zone acquisitions. The investment fund is designed to invest in real estate projects within Opportunity Zone census tracts, and then also place business ownership interests within those census tracts and Opportunity Zone areas to fully benefit from the federal program. There was an existing mix of tenants in the building, primarily attorneys, title company, but mostly attorneys. So our goal is to keep the existing tenants in the building through the improvement process. They were getting to a point where the building was leaking from the roof. The heating and cooling system was at the end of life. So without this action that we're taking to preserve the building, the tenants would have had to relocate elsewhere. We understand that, office tenancy downtown is a difficult thing to completely fill. So we're really working with our tenants on some aggressive pricing to help them out and, to allow them to stay in the building from a price per square foot basis. And then our goal is to add these apartments, and the apartments will be very reasonably priced. We're not trying to make this luxury. We are going to do kind of, very high quality work because that's the type of firm that we are. But, our goal is to make the most of the building for the existing tenants and then also for the Opportunity Zone businesses that will be using this space as their headquarters. So the building involves, the preponderance of the capital on the deal, or at least the spend on the deal, is going directly to construction. We had significant deferred maintenance in the roof, windows, exterior of the building, all those things that you can most likely see as you're driving by. It hasn't been updated in a number of years. So the majority of our cost is going to be, in addition to the conversion of the apartments, will be on the exterior of the building that has been, I won't say neglected because I don't like to use that word, but it definitely has not been given the attention it deserves. So our goal is to, make a large upfront capital investment in this building through historic tax credits, through investor capital and the Opportunity Zone Fund, and preserve the existing jobs, add some new jobs through our incubator, and then also, turn the building around and give it a new lease on life. And I think this west side of downtown is, it's starting to breathe a little bit of life back into it with, private development and, seeing some increased things going on at Thomson Reuters building. The Gannett building looks like it's got some project going on. Rock the Riverway is really interesting with the Broad Street project, and I can see the work going outside of the library from where I sit right now. So I'm definitely really excited to be a part of this redevelopment of this side of downtown.
Thank you for that overview, Joel. What are the market rate amounts that you're proposing for the 30 apartments?
In terms of like percentage of AMI or just general rent?
So the actual rate range.
We're in between $900 a month for a one bedroom and then at a maximum of $1,600 for a two bedroom. So somewhere in those rates.
And what sort of ratio? So what percent would be in the 900 range versus the 1,600?
It's fairly evenly distributed. I'd have to go look in my notes and determine what those exact breakouts are. But it's kind of a consistent price per square foot, as opposed to saying, all right, well, here's just one $900 one, and then all the rest are $1,600. I would say if you had to do an average of all the units, it'd be in the $1,200 to $1,300. That includes the majority of their utilities being paid through our central heating system that we have, as well as internet. We're bringing fiber optic internet into the building, so that includes that as well.
I see. And you don't have any residential tenants right now. So far, it's all commercial.
No, the building, we're doing this with the existing tenants here. So, COVID, obviously it coincided with people working from home a little bit more. And then these attorneys, with some of the things that they represent are kind of in a rebuilding year. So we were able to give them a discount in rent during construction, which, incentivized them to stay within the building. But they will be within the building during this construction process. So we're kind of relocating the commercial tenants to the first and fifth floors, and then using that center core of the building to build residential. But currently it's all office suites.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. And then the plan also shows support by the City of Rochester and the QEE program, which is designed to bring more homeowners or residential folks into the City of Rochester in the downtown area. So,
Yeah.
All right. Do we have questions from the board on this? Okay, there was a public hearing on April 15th on this project. Rachel, were there any comments?
No, there was no public participation.
All right, thank you. So Joel, I'll ask you a few labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
None that I'm aware of. We have
Are
estimates
you
for
aware that
everything
any
locally.
Okay. Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay. The seeker process is complete. We're waiving the reading of the resolution. We all have copies of the resolution in our packets. So I will ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the mortgage recording tax and sales tax exemptions. Is there a motion, please?
So moved, Rhett.
Thank you, Rhett. Is there a second?
Second, Jay.
Thank you, Jay. Any additions or corrections to the motion or questions on the motion? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe is absent. Rhett?
Yay.
And Ann is a yay. Motion carries. So congratulations, a great refurbishment of the former City Hall for Rochester.
Thank you very much.
We agree with you. All of these projects are really bringing life back into that part of downtown.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Okay, our next project is Kodak Light Blocking New Materials LLC. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. Kumar Riekermar. I apologize. Is going to tell us a little bit more about the project, and Anna, if you'll walk us through it, please.
Of course. Thank you, Anne.
Mm-hmm.
Kodak Light Blocking New Materials LLC, or Kodak Light for short, is a newly formed entity by Kodak to further develop the commercialization of proprietary light blocking technologies. The process involves environmentally innovative coating of textiles and has various domestic, military, and healthcare applications. Kodak Light proposes to renovate vacant Eastman Business Park buildings in the town of Greece. The project development will be in 5 phases. The request reflects phases 1 and 2. Kodak Light expects to create 39 FTEs over the next 3 years. The $4.2 million project is seeking a sales tax exemption on construction materials and other taxable purchases. The benefit to incentive ratio is 103-1.
Okay, thank you. And our representative for this application?
Kumar
joined us?
Shrikar from Kodak.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell us more about the project?
Yes, yeah. This is a a project that is just starting up, and it's based on Kodak's pre-existing experience with polymers and coatings and several other chemistries that we have developed here over the years. But most recently, we found this very interesting material with properties that can modulate light. So we do have obviously vast experience with light and optics and materials used in light management. So we thought that the first application for this would be in a commercial application with light blocking and light filtering for just common drapery. So to begin with, commercial drapery that currently uses a 4-pass coating process, and most of the, probably about 70% of the material we find here is coming from China. We would replace that with a 1-pass coating process right here in Eastman Business Park. And obviously it'll be domestically manufactured. So that's the proposal. And along with it, we also have 2 different potential other opportunities. This light management paradigm that I just mentioned is not just for blocking or scattering visible light, which is what the drapery application would be, but also for other forms of radiation, such as ultraviolet and infrared, which are of benefit and use in especially the Department of Defense applications, as well as in some consumer apparel applications for ultraviolet. So that would be part of one of the later phases. The first phase would be simply focused on the drapery materials and for both commercial and contract and technical applications. Along with it, we also would be establishing a Kodak textile analytical labs, which would provide analytical services for the world, for the public. And we expect that along with this, we also would be able to leverage and utilize several of the so-called workrooms. Workroom is a fancy name for tailor shops that are specialized on commercial tailoring for wall coverings and window coverings. We have a couple in Rochester. We have several in New York State. So we are in touch with some of them, and we might be able to encourage their business as well. That's not included in our proposal. The proposal is simply around the application of the technology to what we are doing here, and the later phases, we haven't concluded exactly where that's going to be. Obviously, the center of textile industry now in the United States, whatever of it is left, is really in the Carolinas, so it's North and South Carolina. There's also a textile concentration in Philadelphia, around Philadelphia. So those states are also quite anxious to, woo us. That's not for this phase 1. So that's kind of where we stand. We are excited about the project. We have cleared it through our management mechanisms and through our CEO's process here. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. So is this project on all 5 phases that you're asking for approval, or is it just 1 and 2 of the 5-phase project?
First for the 1 and 2.
Okay, that's the 4.2 million.
Yeah, right. And the employment numbers correspond to that as well.
I see. And how after the 5 phases, what do you think that the size of the project will be in terms of dollars?
Well, we are expecting to. Are you asking for the dollar amount that we would request, or the?
Yeah. No, the project cost.
Project cost. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think the overall project cost at that point, after at the end of the 5 phases would be close to 18 to $20 million.
I
And
see.
that would be about a $300 million annual revenue business, roughly, to begin with. But we're not there yet. We are in the starting phase right now.
Well, it's a very encouraging sounding project, utilizing Kodak, talent and knowledge and so on, capabilities. So
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
renovating the vacant Eastman Business Park is also positive. So, all right. Do we have questions from our board on this project?
And it's Red. I'm assuming that this stage 1 and 2 will be is expected to be completed in the 3-year period of time.
Yes, absolutely. Right.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Are there other questions? Okay, Rachel, there was a public hearing on April 15th. Was there any public comments at the hearing on this project?
No, there was no public participation.
All right, thank you. So I'll ask you now several local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, I am.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
We do. We have at least one person who is from outside New York, and the situation that we have is that any new employees we bring would be absolutely in conformance with the local labor requirement. But to start the process off, we need expertise in certain areas, and sometimes it's very hard to locate that locally. So this person that I would apply for a exemption for is a doctorate in this particular area. He works out of Pennsylvania. So we'll have to make a request for that person specifically.
Our local labor policy applies only to construction labor. So if you're seeking to employ folks for the operation, I just wanted to clarify that because we totally understand and we want to draw those types of professionals to this area, but our policy applies to construction trades in particular.
Absolutely. I don't expect to ask for any exemptions based on that. Thank you, Ann.
Wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Are you aware that any exemptions that you might have need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. The secret process is complete. We are waiving the reading of the resolution. Are there any other questions from the board before I ask for the motion? Okay, hearing none, I will ask for that motion for inducement and final resolution approving the sales tax exemptions. Is there a motion, please?
I'll make a motion, Ann.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there a second?
Royal second.
Thank you, Troy. Any additional comments or changes to the motion? All right. Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay? Jay?
Yes.
Thank you. Tony?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe is absent. Rhett?
Yay.
Ann is a yay. Motion carries. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And sounds like a wonderful project, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much. And
thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Last project before we move on to a modification is Forge Metal Finishing, Inc. Anna, you want to walk us through that? And then we have Mark Shaw with us to tell us a little bit more about it.
Certainly. Thanks, Anne. Forge Metal Finishing Incorporated, or Forge Metal for short, a metal finishing company servicing the medical, aerospace, machining, and food industries, is constructing a 5,000 square foot addition to their 9,000 square foot production facility in the town of Gates. The expansion to the facility will align with projected demand. Forge Metal expects to create 7 new FTEs over the next 3 years. The $1.2 million project is seeking a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. The cost to benefit ratio is 176 to 1.
Okay, thanks, Anna. Mark, would you like to tell us more about the project?
Sure. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. As Anna just said, this is a project to help us continue to grow our business. I started the business in 2012, and we've seen pretty steady growth since then. In the last year or two, we've I don't want to say hit home runs, but we've had some really good opportunities that have started to accelerate. So we've had to start to hire more people. This just allows us to spread people out a little bit and also introduce a couple new capabilities and processes that we haven't had since we started the business. There's going to be 3 phases to it. There's going to be the building, the 5,000 square foot building being constructed on the property. Once that's complete, we have everybody moved over that is going into the new building. We are going to repurpose the existing building. So there'll be a demolition, and then we'll be putting in a new process line that we are going to be having built locally. After that, our existing production equipment will be realigned with what we anticipate coming down the road. As we continue our growth, a lot of our work is becoming more complex. So the need is to bring in more people into like engineering and other type roles within the organization that will help us continue that growth path.
So the 1.2 million that you're requesting, or 1.150 million, covers all 3 phases?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Great. Are there any questions from our board for Mark? Okay, hearing none. Rachel, there was a public hearing held on this project on April 15th. Were there any comments at the hearing?
No, there was no public participation.
Okay. And then Mark, I'll ask you a few local labor questions. Are you aware of the local labor policy?
I am, yes.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
I do not.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes, I am aware.
Okay, thank you. The seeker process is complete. We will waive the reading of the resolution. And I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. May I have a motion, please?
Moved,
So
Jay.
moved. Okay.
Jay has made the motion. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Lisa. Any comments, questions on the motion? All right, hearing none, I will take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe is absent. Rhett?
Yay.
And Ann is a yay, so motion carries. So congratulations.
Great. Thank you very much. Really
Good luck
appreciate all the
with
generous
it.
help.
Well, we're happy to have you doing this fine work for us in our community, and great reuse of the talent and facilities that we have. So
Excellent.
in the area.
Great.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks again. Yeah, enjoy.
You're welcome. Okay, we now have one project modification, Clearwater Organic Farms LLC. Anna, do you want to tell us about that?
Thank you. And this is an extension, not an assumption, just to clarify. Ridgeway Properties 1 LLC is constructing a new facility for Clearwater Organic Farms LLC. Clearwater Organic Farms will utilize hydroponic technology to produce fresh, locally grown year-round organic baby leaf greens to supply markets throughout New York State. The 650,000 square foot facility will be constructed at the Eastman Business Park in Rochester, adjacent to Ledestri Foods. The project will consist of a total investment of $42.6 million and create 100 FTEs and 7 part-time employees. Clearwater is investing $24.6 million and is seeking an extension of the sales tax exemption due to funding delays related to COVID-19.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So what we're asking for here, what we need a motion for is on the extension of the sales use tax exemption benefits and through December 31, 2022. Is there a motion?
Royal motion.
I'll second it, Ann.
Thank you very much. Any additional, no questions on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, thank you. Anna, do you have any further discussion items?
Yes, thank you, Anne. So regarding the MAP program, which I briefed the board on during our prep call last week, we're going to hold off on that support request until our May meeting because the county executive has some other ideas about ways that the county can be supportive of that program in a more holistic fashion. And so we will entertain the request once I get some clarity from the county executive on what he wants to do regarding that program. Notably, and Troy, I believe that you know this person. His name is Dave Young. The county executive has hired Dave to be the deputy director of the airport. And given Dave's expertise and background in construction and the local labor community, Adam Bella has asked me to treat Dave Young as an extension of planning and development staff and as an advisor to COMIDA in regards to local labor. So at some point soon, I'd love to convene a conversation, bring Dave to this board and of course have an introductory call with Troy and talk about ways in which we can work together. Related to that, the county executive is planning to deliver his state of the county address at a date yet to be determined in May, likely May 20th, so exactly 1 month out. And the county executive wants to propose some recommendations pertaining to quite simply COMIDA reform. And our governance committee is meeting on April 29th, and we've invited Troy to take part in that conversation. Working together with Troy and Jay and other members of the board, Rachel put together some actionable insights on ways in which we can bolster our policies regarding local labor, regarding housing, and some other matters tied to our uniform tax exemption policy. So looking ahead this year, we'll seek to implement some of those suggestions with board approval and with some input from the county executive. Also notably, we have issued our legal services RFP and are accepting responses through, I believe, next week. So that will be part of this broader conversation as well. Are there any questions about all of that? I know it's kind of a lot to throw at you in speaking in general platitudes. Okay, well, I hope that you're all open to those discussions. we just want to pave the way for a, brighter future for this board. You all do incredible work. And the county executive wants to make good on some promises that he's made to the community, and he'll be seeking to partner with us on those efforts. Beyond that, I would just also like to put it on your radar that we tentatively will be entertaining a request from Trammell Crow and Amazon regarding local labor at the May meeting. The positive side of the story is that there's an increase of $100 million on the capital investment of the project. The downside is that they're still coming to us with concerns about local labor, and I'm not going to sign off on this. If they're seeking a blanket waiver, I'm not signing off on that. That requires board input, board approval. And of course, I'll be briefing this board once those entities come to me with vetted evidence and involves Brian LaFountain. And before we bring them to the fore, we want to make sure that we have all of the data. This is something that was negotiated in Onondaga County related to the clay Amazon project, which is similar in scale to what we're talking about doing in Gates. So just wanted to make sure that you are aware. Troy, I'll certainly be involving you in those conversations when Trammell Crow, when Amazon comes to us with an actual request with evidence to the fact that they may have issues. In particular, they're concerned about concrete because of just the sheer scale of the need to pour concrete. They're worried that they're going to be exhausting the local labor supply, and there remains concern about construction labor remaining on the unemployment lines. So just planting the seed. I'm open to, call me, email me, text me anytime to share your thoughts and concerns. If you're hearing anything that I'm not hearing, just let me know, and I'll be sure to inform you when the time comes.
And that's kind of concerning because some of these bids went out a month and a half ago. If they were really going to, and to Jay's point, share our schedule. What's your scope? I mean, I can't take back to the local construction community my glass ball to predict work, because they aren't sharing, and they're not releasing the bids that we've already done a month and a half ago. 2 months ago, we started bidding work over there, and some of my contractors haven't been notified. So I can't really, I would prefer to see it on a trade by trade scope schedule basis.
Sure.
Because concrete, I mean, is it to the point where we need to unleash the advertising for, hey, there's jobs over here, anybody interested in coming on over, instead of them telling us, well, we have our people and we want to bring them in. That's where I struggle through that. If I could see the schedule to share it, to prepare, so I can get it in motion instead of a week before it happens, or when people mobilize and are on site, and then we got to deal with it. That's
certainly, Troy. And those are bargaining. Those are things that we can bring to the table and say, hey, give me this in exchange for, us granting you this waiver. And again, sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to chime in. I cannot, Troy nails this right on the head in the sense that, and I'll go a little bit further. It seems disingenuous if they're holding back and then at the very last minute saying, hey, we need, pick whatever wild number, we need 150 concrete workers, and we need them next week. That's, to me, disingenuous in the sense that they've already made the decision they're going to use someone else, and they're presenting it to us in a manner that, we can't say no. We've been asking, or at least I know I've been asking, and I know Troy's been asking for the schedule. no construction project of this magnitude happens without a tight schedule. LaChase should have it. It should be an email, and we should be able to get it in a matter of an hour. You know, they hold weekly, if not bi-weekly meetings where they're reviewing this schedule. And we should be able to see this. I don't understand why this is difficult. Every project I've been involved in that is a fraction of this size has a schedule. And, you know, then we can legitimately say what's coming up and what is needed. And are they reaching out in a timely fashion? And like I said, it just seems disingenuous, particularly as you said, this happened in Onondaga County, and I don't know what the situation was, but it's feeling like this feels like this is a, you know, lather, rinse, repeat process with the company, and it just does not seem that they are truly working in the sense of trying to get most local labor. They're trying to. It feels like to me they're trying to work around it, and how do we do it?
Yeah.
Anna, could I ask a question regarding both of Troy's and Jay's comments?
Of course,
Is there an advantage for them not to use local labor? Why would they be holding back? They know what their schedule is long in advance, just like you're saying, Jay. What's the advantage for them to use someone else from out of town?
It's cost differential. We're dealing here with an entity that is so sophisticated and resource rich that, you know, they know exactly how to deal with people like us. They have armies of attorneys, MBAs. They hire economists. Amazon actually hires economists to staff these efforts. I mean, it's rare that you have a corporation like this one that has actual designated. I mean, they have a whole economic development site selection operation. So yeah, it's got to do with dollars and cents, and this is why I think it's a positive development that Adam Bello has brought on Dave Young to help us. He claimed that he's the reason why we have a 100% local labor policy back when he was with IBEW local 36. Correct me if I'm wrong, Troy. He, when Maggie Brooks was county executive, he was responsible for organizing an effort to protest in front of the county office building with one of the famous inflatable rats many moons ago. So I'm glad he's on our team as a resource. And we'll just keep pushing back. And Adam has made it clear to me that we're not going to accept anything more generous than what Onondaga County granted, and we're going to hold them to account in terms of, we want them to share that schedule with us. That's the point.
Anna, you know what, Anna, I want to, I disagree.
Can we have one at a time speaking, please?
Sure. That part of it is a sophistication, but part of it is we're getting played, and we're allowing ourselves to get played. Every time that they come with these requests and we say yes, that reinforces, it kind of reinforces the behavior. And I would reject the fact that Onondaga County got played. We should allow ourselves to get played.
Sure.
I mean, they came with the idea that we're going to give them these benefits and they're going to use local labor. Otherwise, why are we doing this? I mean, then we're just giving away the farm and we're not getting nearly the benefits that come with this package. I think we were very transparent. You come with these, you request these benefits. These are our rules. And what they're saying is, we'll just see about that. And they're not coming out and saying that, in those terms, but they're playing it in a way that, we're allowing them to do this. I mean, we can.
Well,
coming a mile.
I know we're running out of time, and I'm wondering if we're getting too deep on this at this meeting. I believe that our next governance committee meeting is really doing a deeper dive in this.
I mean, no, wait. I don't think we're getting off topic. I mean, this is.
You're not off topic. It's just that people.
And So I guess
we need to
here,
respect their time.
if they're going
So,
to,
but
hold
you're
on,
chair of
they're going to
governance,
ask
Jay.
for these local waivers, I think it's reasonable for us to ask for a schedule. And what else is coming? I mean, we don't know. Like, this has been a slow drip. It's going to be the concrete. What else is coming? Let's see the schedule.
Absolutely.
We can do
And
that.
Jay,
We
I
can
just,
do
to
that.
Ann's point, we're in public session, and I wanted to share that it's a strong possibility at this point in time that it's going to happen. And I wanted to plant that seed for all of you for your consideration so that you can come prepared when the time comes to have the dialogue with the developers and with Amazon.com.
And
So-
can we close this meeting and continue this
Yes.
discussion, not on public time, so we can
Yes.
finish this? Is that possible?
Yes, Brett, of course.
And I think we do have all of these topics at our next governance meeting. So, and Jay, you chair that committee. So this, it's only the beginning of this conversation. So I appreciate your thoughts on that.
Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna have to
Thank
run
you.
now.
Thanks, Tony. Good luck with that sale.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.
So I appreciate everyone's time as well. And just to be thoughtful, we probably should adjourn this meeting at this point. Thank you for all of the hard work by the staff and the whole team and our board members. Our next meeting is May 18th at noon, and I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries and we are adjourned. Thanks again.